Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Meepolis and this is Literally Graphic, and today we are tackling A Distant Neighborhood, Volumes 1 and 2 by Jirō Taniguchi. I originally read this duology back in my university days as part of the first ever graphic novels as literature class and have meant to reread them ever since. This duology was published in English by Ponent Mon Limited in 1998. Flipped by the author's permission. They are quick to note in the back of the book. As far as warnings go, I would point out that there are some examples of underage drinking to the point of passing out. And for better or for worse, the entire plotline centers around the idea of men leaving their families. Not a typical warning, but it's the entire thing in a nutshell, so I figured I would let you know ASAP. Also some flashback scenes to World War II. Strangely enough, after all this procrastination, I picked up quite a few Jirō Taniguchi manga before the library shut down for COVID-19, so this is the first in what will likely become a bit of a series. So to start a creator bio, Taniguchi began his career as an assistant of manga artist Kyoto Ishikawa. He made his manga debut in 1970 with A Desiccated Summer, published in Young Comic. Taniguchi then went on to write some titles that would be described as hard-boiled, followed by a collaboration with Garan Tsuchiya, illustrated work by Bakuyama Makura, and created the Ikaru series with text by Mobius. Throughout his life, 1947 to 2017, Taniguchi won several awards, including Osamu Tezuka Cultural Award in 1998 and the Shogakukan Prize, 2003. Turning the book over, how does it describe itself? Quote, "Who hasn't thought about reliving their past, correcting perceived mistakes, or changing crucial decisions? Would this better your life or the lives of those closest to you? Or would your altered actions prove even more harmful? One man gets a chance to find out. Middle-aged Hiroshi Nakahara is on his way home from a business trip when he finds himself on the wrong train heading for his childhood hometown. His footsteps take him to his mother's grave, and it's there that he is catapulted back into his life as an 8th grader, but with all his adult memories and knowledge intact. As he struggles to make sense of his predicament, his adult memories of his childhood return, but are somehow suddenly changed. The questions start to form. Would his father still disappear without explanation? Would he still marry his wife?" This duology, sorry I really like that word, has also been adapted into a live-action film by Sam Garbarski, a Belgian director, that was released in 2010. Talking about my own feelings about the series, I must admit to being a bit torn. On the one hand, when I originally read this, I was feeling very nostalgic for my earlier life. I don't feel that as much anymore, but still appreciate the mood. On the other hand, I did get a bit impatient about 2/3 of the way through because I do feel a bit judgy about men randomly leaving their family. The end did twist around into something satisfactorily, though. It probably also doesn't hurt that I often felt like an adult stuck in a kid's body growing up. As far as sexuality and gender goes, it's all pretty nondescript. A somewhat dated book that jumps even farther back in time. 95% of the book is focused on heterosexual relationships. I didn't catch on to anything actually queerphobic, but as I mentioned, it got a bit tiring by the end. The gender binary is alive and well, and women do womanly things. Although the arc of cultural feminism is progressing, so there's that. Not exactly class, but something that does play a big role in this series is the power of familial expectation and social rules, particularly when Nakahara is explaining his family history and ends up traveling back through time, in contrast to Nakahara's own coming of age in adulthood. In general, Nakahara's family seems to be doing well enough to get by, but not ostentatiously. It is noted several times, however, how hard his mother had to work after his father left. Writing up this review, I have a nagging feeling that something happens to one of Nakahara's friends off-page that results in a passing comment on disability, but I can't find it back. So the only other thing that relates to ability versus disability is the way Nakahara's elderly grandmother affects his parents' lives. While they certainly love the grandmother, that doesn't really add up to particularly positive representation. Like many manga in particular, race is not really touched on. Bye y'all, keep reading and resist white supremacy. And as always, Literally Graphic is recorded on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation. I live here because of British colonization, Indigenous genocide, and more geographically specific, Treaty 13, also known as the Toronto Purchase, which was finalized in 1805 between representatives of the Crown and certain Mississauga peoples. This treaty was a lie and has since been broken many times over. Saying so reflects only my own small steps towards knowing the truth and does nothing for reconciliation.